Welcome to the Ultimate Sports Blog Podcast. Today is Sunday, March 17th, 2019. I apologize for not having a podcast yesterday. I was just out of time and just didn't have a chance to do one. So I have one for you today, Selection Sunday. I have my mock bracket that is as of now before all these games are played today. I have the results from yesterday for college basketball, NBA, and NHL. And then I'll do best bet and moneyline selections at the end of the podcast. I'm going to start with actually my mock bracket as of right now. Pre-games today. Number 1 overall seed, East Region, the Duke Blue Devils. Number 2 overall seed, number 1 in the South, the Virginia Cavaliers. Number 1 seed in the West Region, number 3 overall seed, the Gonzaga Bulldogs, and the number 1 seed in the Midwest, 4 overall, the Michigan State Wolverines. My 2 seeds, from the Midwest Kentucky, from the West North Carolina, from the South Tennessee, and from the East Michigan. 3 seeds, from the South Houston, from the West LSU, the East Auburn, the Midwest Texas Tech. 4 seeds, Midwest Florida State, West Wisconsin, South Kansas, East Iowa State. 5 seeds, South Purdue, East Marquette, Midwest Kansas State, West Virginia Tech. 6 seeds, East Villanova, Midwest Wofford, South Mississippi State, West Cincinnati. 7 seeds, West Nevada, Midwest Buffalo, South Maryland, East Louisville. 8 seeds, Midwest VCU, East Minnesota, South Ole Miss, West Syracuse. 9 seeds, South Seton Hall, West Iowa, East Washington, Midwest UCF. 10 seeds, East Baylor, West Ohio State, South Arizona State, Midwest Murray State. 11 seeds, West Oklahoma, South Utah State, play-in game, East TCU NC State, play-in game, Midwest St. John's Temple. 12 seeds. Here's your auto bids. Midwest Oregon, East St. Bonaventure, South St. Mary's, West Liberty. 13 seeds. West New Mexico State, East Vermont, Midwest UC Irvine, South Georgia Southern. 14 seeds. East Old Dominion, South Bradley, West Montana, Midwest Yale. 15 seeds. South Northern Kentucky, Midwest Colgate, East Northeastern, West Gardner-Webb. 16 seeds, West North Dakota State, East Fairleigh Dickinson, play-in game Midwest Norfolk State and Sam Houston State, and play-in game in the South Prairie View A&M and Iona. This is obviously going to change after the results for today, and I am going to tweet out my final mock bracket right before the real one gets unveiled around 5 o'clock Eastern Time on my Twitter handle, at MadisonMills28. For those of you on Twitter that could check out my final mock bracket, and I'll reveal it on my podcast tomorrow just to see how off I was on some things and what I nailed, because I did that, I believe, last year as well. Now on to yesterday's results. I'm going to try to make this quick today. So I'm just going to go through scores and then provide some takeaways as I go along for each of these. I'm going to start obviously in college basketball. Vermont over UMBC 66-49 to punch their ticket to the big dance. So Vermont gets in as the 1 seed from the AEC. UMBC won't have a repeat of last year. Harvard over Penn 66-58 in the Ivy League semifinals. Harvard moves on to the title game for the Ivy League, which will be today. Michigan State over Wisconsin 67-55 in the Big Ten semifinals, so the Spartans advance to the title game. Auburn over Florida 65-62 in the SEC semifinals, so the Tigers advance to the title game. A-10 semifinal, St. Bonaventure over Rhode Island 68-51, so the Bonnies advance to the title game. MEAC final, NC Central over Norfolk State 50-47, so NC Central is your MEAC champs. So I made a mistake in my bracket. I meant to put in NC Central rather than Norfolk State in that play-in game. So like I said, that could change as things unfold and whatnot. I'm thinking about putting Fairleigh Dickinson in the play-in game and NC Central out of it, but we'll see. Houston over Memphis, 61-58 in the AAC semifinals, so big Steeler threat gone in Memphis. Houston survives to the championship game. Yale over Princeton, 83-77, so Yale takes on Harvard in the Ivy League title game today. I'll pick that game on the podcast. Tennessee over Kentucky, 82-78 in the SEC semifinal. So Tennessee moves on to take on Auburn. Michigan over Minnesota, 76-49 in the Big Ten semifinal. St. Louis over Davidson, 67-44 in the A-10 semifinal. So Big Ten final will be Michigan, Michigan State, and the A-10 final will be St. Louis against St. Bonaventure. Sun Belt semifinal, Georgia State over Texas State, 59-46. So Georgia State moves on to take on UT Arlington. Cincinnati over Wichita State, 66-63 in the AAC semifinals. So Wichita State is another bid Steeler potentially gone. Iowa State over Kansas, 78-66 in the Big 12 final. Great win for Iowa State. Utah State over San Diego State, 64-57 in the Mountain West final. So Utah State gets to avoid the dreaded play-in game. SWAC final, Prairie View over Texas Southern, 92-86. So Prairie View gets the auto bid from the SWAC. Villanova over Seton Hall, 74-72 in Big East final. Texas Arlington over Georgia Southern, 67-58 in the Sun Belt semifinal. So UT Arlington moves on to take on Georgia State. Buffalo over Bowling Green, 87-73, as Buffalo wins the MAC auto bid. So Bowling Green goes away as a bid stealer. Montana over Eastern Washington, 68-62 in the Big Sky final. So Montana takes the auto bid from the Big Sky. Duke over Florida State, 73-63 in the ACC final. So Duke, to me, is the favorite for the number 1 overall seed. Old Dominion over Western Kentucky, 62-56, as Old Dominion wins the CUSA auto bid. Abilene Christian over New Orleans, 77-60 in the Southland final. So Abilene Christian wins the auto bid for the Southland. New Mexico State over Grand Canyon, 89-57 in the WAC final. So New Mexico State wins that auto bid. Oregon over Washington, 68-48 in the Pac-12 final. So Oregon wins that auto bid. So there will be 3 teams from the Pac-12 in the tournament in all likelihood. And UC Irvine over Cal State Fullerton, 92-64 in the Big West final, as UC Irvine takes the auto bid from the Big West. 6 games today. I'm going to pick them all against the spread and straight up. Ivy League final, Yale, Harvard, 12 o'clock, ESPN 2. Yale's favored by 4. Yale is home, and they have the best player on the court. That was my pick to win the Ivy League tournament. I think they win and cover. 1 o'clock, ESPN, Auburn and Tennessee, SEC final. Tennessee's favored by 5. I'm taking Tennessee to win and to cover. They are the better team, led by Grant Williams and Admiral Schoenfield, as they are in play for a 1 seed. 1 o'clock, CBS, St. Bonaventure and St. Louis. St. Bonaventure's favored by 2. I'm taking them to win and cover because they've been playing better of the 2 teams of late. 2 o'clock, ESPN 2, UT Arlington and Georgia State in the Sun Belt final. And I meant to put Georgia State instead of Georgia Southern in my mock bracket, so I'll change that for those. Georgia State's a 4-point favorite. I think they'll win and cover and win the auto bid for the Sun Belt. Cincinnati and Houston, 3:15 ESPN. Houston's favored by 5. I think that's too many points. And I really like Cincinnati to win this game outright. I picked Cincinnati to win the conference tournament in the AAC tournament preview podcast, and I'm going to stick with it. So give me Cincinnati to win that game outright. And then 3:30 CBS, Michigan State. It's a pick'em in the Big Ten final. And I am going to take the Michigan State Spartans. Although, like I said, it's hard to win against the same team 3 times in the season. We saw that with Carolina trying to beat Duke 3 times in a row. They almost did it, to their credit, but it didn't work. I think it works here. I think Sparty's the better team, and they'll be in play for a 1 seed if they win this game. And don't sleep on the Wolverines as a possible 1 seed if certain things break their way. But I think ultimately they'll go with Carolina, but I could be wrong. And I just can't see a scenario where they put Gonzaga on the 2 line. So give me Michigan State to win the Big Ten final game. All right, NBA. I'm just going to go through scores and some takeaways from each and every game. Celtics over the Hawks, 129-120. Celtics, good win. Hawks were competitive. Wizards over the Grizzlies, 135-128. The Suns over the Pelicans, 138-136 in overtime. What a tank job by New Orleans. Josh Jackson ties the game with a 3, and then they call a timeout, which results in a technical if you don't have a timeout, and you call a timeout. So, what a way for the Pelicans to lose that game. Mavericks over the Cavs, 121-116. Luka didn't play. Warriors over Thunder, 110-88. No Kevin Durant, but the Warriors really, really opened some eyes with that great performance. Spurs over the Trailblazers, 108-103. 10 straight home wins for the Spurs. Nuggets over the Pacers, 102-100. Much needed win for Denver. And Jazz over the Nets, 114-98. Today's games, 12 o'clock, you have the Lakers and the Knicks. The Lakers are laying 4.5 in that game. 1 o'clock, the Hornets and the Heat. Miami's favored by 3. 3 o'clock, ABC, 76ers, Bucks. Mark Jones, Hubie Brown, and Lisa Salters on the call on ABC. Milwaukee's favored by 6. I'm going to take the Bucks to win in the cover. Don't feel good about the cover part, but this is a weird line to me. I think Milwaukee should be favored by less, but someone knows something, and I think they know that the Bucks really are going to be up for this, and maybe Philly's not going to play Embiid, so who knows. Raptors, Pistons, Toronto's favored on the road by 1.5 against Dwayne Casey's former team. Hawks and the Magic, Orlando's favored by a whopping 7.5. And that's a 6 o'clock game. Bulls, Kings, Sacramento's favored by 7. 9 o'clock, ESPN, Timberwolves, Rockets. Rockets favored by 7.5. The Rockets are going to win and cover. They're the best player on the court in James Harden. And the last 9 o'clock game is the Nets at the Clippers. The Clippers are favored by 6.5. NHL. Blues over the Penguins 5-1. Huge win for St. Louis. Bad loss for Pittsburgh. Red Wings over the Islanders 2-1. Bad loss for the Islanders on the road. Panthers over the Kings 4-3. Bruins over the Blue Jackets 2-1 in overtime. A big win for Boston. A brutal loss for Columbus. Blackhawks over the Canadiens 2-0. Bad loss for Montreal. Senators over Maple Leafs 6-2. Bad loss for Toronto. Lightning over the Capitals 6-3. Yet again a great performance by Tampa. Hurricanes over the Sabres 4-2. Wild over the Rangers 5-2. Big win for Minnesota. Keep their playoff hopes alive. Jets over the Flames 2-1. Big win for Winnipeg. Oilers over the Coyotes 3-2 in an overtime. Brutal loss for Coyotes. And then Predators over the Sharks 4-2. A very nice win on the road for Nashville. Today's slate at 3 o'clock, you have the Devils at the Avalanche. 5 o'clock, the Blues at the Sabres. 6 o'clock, the Islanders at the Wild. 7 o'clock, the Canucks at the Stars. 7:30, NBCSN, the Flyers at the Penguins. Doc Emrick and Pierre Maguire on the call. I'm taking the Penguins at home. They seem to be finding their groove a lot. 9 o'clock, the Panthers at the Ducks. And 10 o'clock, NBCSN, the Oilers at the Golden Knights. I am taking the Golden Knights at home because they are the better team. And the Oilers aren't playing for anything. I'm going to do my best bet now, and that will be brought to you today by FanDuel. I had as my best bet yesterday a 3-team parlay against the spread. I had Iowa State on the money line, I had Duke minus 7.5, and I had Oregon State minus 1.5, and that turned out to be a fairly successful thing because I wagered $2 and I won $14.23 as my payout. So it should be interesting to see what I decide to select as I parlay some big favorites perhaps in all the sports. Or do I wager a big number because I want some money back? So it should be fairly interesting. What's on the board for me to go with today? 6 college basketball games, and I'm not going to take any of them because no lines are that big. So I'm going to go to the NBA. I feel really good about Milwaukee. Sacramento. The Clippers. The Rockets. That's 4. Let's go to the ice. We'll go with the Colorado Avalanche because the Devils have not been playing well. The Dallas Stars and the Vegas Golden Knights. There's your 7. About 9.5 to 1. I'm going to do $2.24 on this one. I'm sorry, $2.23. Didn't pay attention to my thing. With the possible payout of $23.55. So that's it for today. I'll be back either later tonight or early tomorrow morning, recapping the bracket. I'm going to do my NCAA tournament picks podcast on Tuesday because I needed a couple days to digest the bracket, but I'm going to do the bracket and I'm going to compare it to my final mock bracket to see how close I was with nailing any of these. And then I'm going to obviously go over NBA and NHL, look ahead to tomorrow's slate, and obviously my best bet. And then we'll go over NIT a little bit maybe too. And, oh wait, Moneyline pick. Alright, I'm just going to do one, and it's going to be the New York Knicks over the Lakers. I'm wagering $2 on it with a payout of $5.24. I hope you guys have a great day, everybody.